Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our monthly webinar series called the Metaverse Collective for the Anima Collective, hosted by yours truly. I am Shirley Lopez, and our guest speaker today is Nicolle Lafosse, who will be navigating us through the legalities around Web3. Very exciting stuff. I want to talk a little bit about the Anima Collective. The Anima Collective is a space where soul development and entrepreneurship meet. It is an inclusive community of self-identifying women with an entrepreneurial spirit. Growing together in our true authentic power, we are powerful leaders in our homes and in our communities. We transform the world into a more just, equitable, joyful, creative, connected, and prosperous place. If you are unfamiliar with the Anima Collective, please check out their website at theanimacollective.com. My name is Shirley Lopez, and I have been a member of the Anima Collective since April 2020. I have 2 established businesses and a startup. My 2 businesses are called LNL Process and Notary Force. We are nationwide process servers, and we are virtual notaries. My new startup is called Metadime, and we help businesses create loyalty and membership programs with NFTs. My special guest speaker today is Nicolle Lafosse, who I had the pleasure of meeting at a recent Web3 equity event. Funny enough, but the first time that I ever came across Nicolle was on her Instagram. I actually saw one of her reels and I was like, crypto lawyers. So Nicolle is not whatsoever your traditional attorney. She is passionately involved in all things Web3, crypto, and NFT with involvement in NFT women-led communities. When it comes to her law practice, she collaborates with small businesses, entrepreneurs, creatives, artists, developers, and startups to ensure that we are all being compliant with yet to be determined legal implications, compliance, and regulatory matters in Web3. As your crypto attorney, she wants you to build and grow in Web3 and let her worry about the ugly legal side of Web3. She's an international crypto legal speaker and crypto attorney at Lafosse Law, a law practice that specializes in helping businesses and individuals navigate the intersection of blockchain technology and law. Nicolle is originally from Honduras, both a practicing attorney in the United States and in Honduras, a proud alumni, and Miami native. She's also an artist. Well, I can't wait to hear more about Nicolle. If you have any questions during the presentation, please leave your questions in the chat. I will bring them up to Nicolle, and we will have a Q&A after the presentation as well. With great pleasure, I'd love to now hand the virtual mic over to Nicolle so she can tell us more about herself and the legalities around Web3. Welcome, Nicolle.
Well, thank you, Shirley, for having me here. It's a pleasure. Like Shirley said, we met virtually, and then we just happened to meet together. We happened to meet in person at one of the Web3 amazing events that she was also a participant on. And a little bit about my background is I started getting into cryptocurrency, Web3, NFTs, because I am an artist myself. And I wanted to sell my art via NFTs. When I started digging into, okay, what are NFTs? What do I need for an NFT? Why do people pay so much money for a JPEG? I started seeing that there are a lot of like legal loopholes or like legal needs that people are not addressing. And it was for me very interesting, the fact that there's so much money going on behind the scenes, like a market built out of Web3, that people don't realize that there's legal implications, there's legal consequences. Everybody thinks that because they're decentralized, it means that they're lawless. And for me, that's one of the biggest misconceptions or mistakes that people could make, because once you start building a business on Web3, you make really good life-changing wealth. That's when the problems start coming. That's when the government starts putting you in the radar. People start suing you. You start getting a couple of like problems down the road, illegalities that you inadvertently got involved in that probably were not illegal at that time, but now they are illegal, to put it in that sense. So that was what caught my eye at first. I started doing consultations on the side while I kept my traditional attorney job. And then the demand grew up so much that I took a leap of faith and I decided to just open my own practice and say, I don't know, like, let me just take on cryptocurrency clients. Let me take on people who need help with DAO formations, startups, NFTs, artists, musicians, developers, you name it. Anything that has to do with Web3, I like to be involved. So here I am now, a crypto attorney. I've been in the space for, I think, about 2 years now, being a crypto attorney. And surely I can tell you, like, it's life changing. Like, I felt in love with my career once again. That love that I felt when I just registered my first class in law school, and I had this like childish look, childish image of what an attorney is and what an attorney does. And then I came to realize that it's a lot harder than they picture it at the beginning of law school. But when I started with cryptocurrency, I soon found that spark again. I found the spark that allowed me to say, I love my job, I love what I do, I love my clients. And every client has some crazy idea that I love going into the weeds and just saying, like, okay, we can't do it the way you're putting it because it's illegal, but we can do it. We can still do it, just not the way you're posing it. There's ways to do it and to follow the law and to not get into trouble. And it's crafting the project alongside with the client. It fascinates me because they're not the typical, LLC corporate. They're an LLC, but they have different intricacies. Right. Now, speaking about an LLC, let's talk about a little bit about DAOs. Then I'll speak about NFTs, and we're gonna close up with some other like minutia that people need to be aware of. Regarding DAOs, DAOs are a way of organization. It's a business organization similar to an LLC, similar to a any form of corporate structure. The difference is that they're decentralized, meaning you don't have to register it anywhere. You don't have a board, you don't have a president, vice president, the treasurer, and everybody in the DAO has equal power of decision. What makes a DAO mostly different from a traditional LLC is that although you don't have to register, you can still be sued under the DAO. If the DAO does something that is illegal, then everybody in the DAO is on the hook for that one thing that someone did somewhere in the world. So if you're in the US and the DAO is sued by a US court, they're going to go after the members who are in the US jurisdiction, although you didn't even know what this other DAO member was doing somewhere else in the world. But because you're in the US, you're part of the DAO, and the courts have jurisdiction over you within the United States, they're going to go after you because you're a member of that DAO. So that's one of the biggest dangers of being a DAO member rather than being an LLC. Now, people say that they prefer a DAO because it's decentralized. Yes, it's decentralized, but to what extent do you want to be decentralized? Do you really want to put yourself on the line so much so that you'll be responsible for the bad deeds of someone else that you didn't even know they were doing? So in that sense, I don't share the idea that people want to be 100% decentralized. It's good. It's good to be decentralized, but to some extent, to the extent where your liability is not 200%. Where
let me ask you, Nicolle, sorry to interrupt you. One, just give us a little bit more of a picture. Well, one, what does DAO stand for? One. Two, what's the biggest difference between a DAO and a traditional corporation? And I know you use the word decentralized, but what does that ultimately mean?
Sure. So DAO stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization. Decentralized means that it doesn't depend upon a government to regulate it. So decentralized means it's a business that can operate anywhere in the world. It doesn't need to be registered anywhere. Government entities don't necessarily have to provide any sorts of checks and balances. And mainly you're not responding to a government entity to do or not to do certain acts. And that's why it's so attractive to people, because it allows you to have the freedom from bureaucracy, the freedom to operate and just create wealth without having to go through all the loopholes that we typically see on a traditional LLC. Now, the main difference is we don't have in a DAO, decentralized autonomous organization, we don't have a board, meaning everybody has equal votes, equal voting rights in a DAO that you don't see on a traditional LLC. Now, with a DAO, you can also structure it in a way that depending on how many tokens or how much money you have put into the DAO, then that's how strong your votes are, or you have more voting power. But the essence is that everybody in the DAO is equally inclusive. Everybody in the DAO has the same power, and everybody can participate on the decisions of what the DAO is doing, where the DAO is investing, what the DAO could or could not build, associations, partnerships, business ventures, anything. So everybody has the power to decide over in a DAO. Where in an LLC, you have a selected group of members who take decisions. Although you still have some voting power, the ultimate decision maker is the board. And you still have to go through government regulations, probably some licenses, probably some permits, and that those things you don't see them on a DAO, which allows them to operate more seamlessly and faster.
And what is an example of a organization that would be great using a DAO or the DAO structure?
Anything? It's interesting question, because you can do anything that you do in the real world in Web3. Not to say that Web3 is not the real world, but it's an internet world. It's a virtual world. So there's no set business that is ideal for a DAO. It depends on what your goals are, what your milestones you would like to have, and how fast you want to move. Now, keep in mind that although you're moving faster than with a traditional business and LLC, for instance, your liability can also build up very fast, faster than you think and faster than you realize. Like, we have an example of a couple of companies that have crashed in Web3 that were very strong. And that's because they were growing so fast that they didn't realize that there were so many like misdeeds within the way of growth, and they just oversaw them. But for me, there's no set business that is ideal for a DAO. What I recommend is that you put a DAO within an LLC, because you still have this concept of everybody votes and everybody participates, but the liability exposure is not just like openly to everyone.
Gotcha. And what industries right now have you been seeing have been DAOs have been popping up in this, specific industry, or which industry is attractive to that DAO structure?
So I've seen a couple of startups who have they just want to market themselves as being fully decentralized. They either have an NFT project, or they have a art collection that they want to do. Some gaming platforms, video game platforms, are also using DAOs. And then from NFT projects, those projects are growing into a corporate structure where a DAO just makes sense, because they have so many members and they want to be very inclusive on their community, that they want to give them some voting power as to what else do we do on our video game, or what features do you want to see on our NFTs, or what utility is best in real life utility is best for our community, and let's have everybody vote in, and from there we go. Now, speaking about NFT projects are also an alternative way of getting involved in Web3. Aside from creating a DAO, you can have your NFT project, which means NFT stands for non-fungible token. Non-fungible means it's a unique piece. It cannot be exchanged one for one. And a simple way of putting it is a $20 bill is fungible for 20 single dollars. they both have the same value. The difference is one is a single bill, the other one has 20 single bills, but the value is the same. You can give me a 20 and you can give me 20 singles, the same thing. But if you have an art collection, 18th century, you have a Mona Lisa and you have another painting, 18th century painting, right? You cannot tell me that because they're both paintings, they're both from the same time, and they're both in the same museum, they're fungible, because they're unique pieces of art created by a unique author with unique features. The same happens with an NFT. With NFTs, what's tricky is that some collections look exactly the same. They bring in, say, I don't know, 500 pieces, and the 500 pieces look exactly the same to the naked eye. But what makes a difference is that the coding within it is what makes a difference. It's saying like a QR code almost. So if you tell me that your NFT is interchangeable with another NFT, that's not true, because your NFT has a unique code attached to it, and that's what makes it non-fungible. Also, your NFT can be a higher price than my NFT because yours has a different utility. Yours could give you access to a concert or to a one-on-one backstage with Steve Aoki for his NFT, whereas mine, it's only a membership card. It looks the same, but the utility is definitely not the same. The price is not the same. So that's non-fungible. Now, that's one thing to consider, and that will help you understand what an NFT is. Now, from a legal perspective, NFTs have rights. They come with intellectual property rights. They come with copyrights. Now, these rights are not necessarily something that you purchase automatically at the same time as you purchase an NFT. What does this mean? Say you buy an NFT from me and it has a cool image, everybody likes it, there's a big fuzz, they're super expensive, and you want to use it because you want to create your brand. You want to make it the image of your new business. And guess what? You pay $10,000, but you don't have the rights to use that image for your business because you don't have commercial rights attached to it. And some people make the big mistake of purchasing the NFT, then they put the shop, they make the image of the shop the NFT, and guess what? The project owners come back and they tell them, hey, listen, you don't have the rights to commercialize this NFT because we're not transferring commercial rights. We're not transferring IP rights. You have the right to show it, to publish it on your site, to display it, but we're not allowing you to commercialize it. And that's something that a lot of people think it comes along automatically when you purchase an NFT, but it's not. You got to be very careful in that. Another aspect of that is some NFT projects allow you to commercialize it up to some extent, meaning I think CryptoKitties allows you to commercialize up to $10,000 a year, meaning you can only create $10,000 of profit from this CryptoKitty NFT, and that's it.
And where do you find that fine print of an NFT?
You can find it in the Discord of the NFT project. So you can find it also in the description of the NFT. Sometimes it tells you that, or the website. Like you do have to do a little bit of research, but it's also not hidden on the tiny little words on terms of services. You could find it on the terms of services, which it's a place where it should be, but it should also be very obvious to the naked eye when you go into the website, when you go into the description of the NFT, their Discord channels, and courts are not looking at it with a good eye when it's so hard to find. Like when it's in the very tiny fine prints, the courts are not liking that because it's deceiving for the consumer. And a lot of people don't know this.
I've seen one of the WoW NFTs. Someone put that onto, I think it was a soft drink. I think it was
yeah.
I think we saw it at the Web3 equity event.
Yes.
There was these WoW cans and someone had commercialized their NFT, you know?
Yeah.
I've also seen it in Old Navy.
Oh,
I saw a t-shirt. I saw a t-shirt and I think it was one of the Bored Apes.
Oh,
and
cool.
I was like, oh my God, this guy bought a Bored Ape. He bought an ape, slapped it on a t-shirt and sold it to Old Navy. I was like, that is
Well,
crazy. That is
I
amazing.
think Old Navy has to have bought the
Or
NFT themselves.
maybe it's owned by Old Navy. I don't know, but I
That's
was just like,
interesting. Because
this is
now you
very
got me
cool.
thinking, because if you're the owner of the ape and then you allow Old Navy to sell and retail, Old Navy there's two options. One, you sold a license for NFT to Old Navy so that they can commercialize it, which makes sense to you as the owner of the NFT, but it
Mhm.
doesn't make sense to Old Navy. It doesn't make commercial sense. For Old Navy, it's better to buy the NFT and own it all together with the rights.
Right.
Because with the
Maybe they do.
license, yeah. And with the
Maybe.
license, you have limitations. You can have as many limitations as the license provider wishes to have in it. So it doesn't make commercial sense for a company like Old Navy to have a license. But that's really cool.
Yeah. I think it was a Bored Ape. I might be mistaken. It might have been another NFT collection, but I remember seeing that and I was
Nice.
like completely like, what?
And so, yeah. And so that this brings us to another topic, which is licensing. Say
Mhm.
you buy a Bored Ape and you buy with the purpose of creating some sort of profit from it, but you don't want to you don't want to do this profit yourself. You don't want to work for it. You just own it, but you can license this NFT for others to commercialize it, and they'll pay you some percentage of whatever revenue they make. And there's no limitations with the Bored Apes. So that's another way that we can, be aware of having a passive income after making an investment. Now, this does not fall into what is a security, because for it to be a security under the Securities and Exchange Commission, there needs to be a common enterprise. And in this case, you're the owner of the NFT and you're just licensing it. So that
Okay.
that is a safe way of creating income from an NFT. Now, when you fractionalize an NFT, say, meaning you have an NFT is a one piece, right? But this one piece, you can divide it into 10 divisions, 10 little pieces, and sell those tenths of an NFT to 10 different people and monetize from there. However, this example is typically used on music. When an artist makes a NFT from a song and they want to sell little pieces of the song to different people so that people can use this like fraction of music on their, you can use it as your entry on a Zoom conference, you can use it on a video, on anything you want. But this has been considered a security under the eyes of United States courts. So you have to be very careful when you're fractionalizing NFT, because now you have an enterprise of individuals who are buying it with an expectation of profit. And that falls under the Howey test, which is the test used for determining whether an NFT is or not a security. Now, this is not something that I tell people to scare them. This is something that people need to know, because if you are dealing with a security or it looks like a security, all you have to do is register with the SEC. That's it. But people don't want to do it because they want to be so decentralized. It's crazy. Like, you really want to be so decentralized and get into the bullseye of a potential lawsuit? Like, do you really want to go through that risk? The same happens with DAO. People create a DAO because it's decentralized, but you don't need a DAO, not necessarily. You just want to look decentralized, but you're not analyzing what the backfall is. The backfall is that you're liable for anything that anyone does on your DAO. And you can only control them so much,
Yeah, there was a company I came across actually at a pitch last year. It's called Sway Music. It was actually founded by an attorney.
Oh, cool.
And he was actually a former attorney at Greenberg Traurig. Right now I forgot his name, but I think it's Garland Brown. I think I'll get his name. And his platform, Sway Music, fractionalizes music. And they are officially registered with the SEC.
There
He
you go.
announced that at the pitch, and I was kind of like, wait a second, I don't understand what music has to do with securities, but okay. But he announced that, and I thought that was really interesting. So Sway Music, SWAYE.
Huh. I'm gonna look into it.
Look it up. And I want to say the founder, his name is Garland Brown. Oh, but I can
Huh.
always send you
I mean,
his LinkedIn.
it's so simple to solve it, and people just don't want to do it. Crazy, crazy.
Very
Um,
interesting. Love it.
oh yeah,
So,
definitely.
so music, art, fascinated by all of this. What else? What else do we need to know
All
about the
right.
legalities
So
around Web3?
another thing that is very interesting is the use of emojis. So now that we're into the world of securities, the use of emojis, courts are already deciding that, particularly, I think it was Southern District of New York, decided that the emoji of a rocket, the stock chart, and the little bag of money was a message that, although you didn't put it in words over a tweet, was investment for profit. Like, it was a message that the project owner or the project builders were portraying to the public, that if you buy into this NFT, this would be an investment for profit, which falls into the purview of a security. So that is something very interesting that I think not many of us have, grasped altogether. We use emojis because they're fun, they're interactive, they're allow the text not to be so dry, but they have a message within it, and courts are recognizing it in real life, like outside our Web3 gaming world, our Web3 Twitter world. Like, tweets are being shown as exhibits in court. Like, whatever you say on a tweet, they're being presented in court as evidence. Like, this person did that and they said this on this day, and here's a tweet. It's crazy because I
And
never thought tweets would be used.
speaking of tweets, wasn't it one of the founders of Twitter? I don't know who it was that NFT'd their very first tweet.
Oh,
Their very
yeah.
first tweet became an NFT, and I think he sold it.
Oh, yeah.
Or he was gonna sell it for like
No.
thousands.
He definitely sold it. I don't
He
know
sold
for
it, right?
how many millions of dollars.
Yeah,
And,
insane
and it
amount.
was like a one-line tweet. It was
Yeah, it
not
was a one line.
even like a
It's
full
like my
message.
first tweet or something.
Something
It was
like that.
something
Like, here's
silly.
my first tweet. No, and that's one of the things that attracts the most from everyone, like the possibility of making life-changing wealth via Web3. It is possible, and anyone can do it on any type of business. Like, you can do it with art, you can do it with poems, you can do it with a law firm, you can do it with a pharmaceutical company. The use of the technology behind blockchain, behind, I'm sorry, Web3, is amazing. And people think that Web3 is cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is just a medium of exchange. The technology behind it, the blockchain, the automated system, the mere fact that, yeah, using smart contracts in arbitration, for instance, like, say, in arbitration, you always have not always, but for the most part, you always see that issue of, after you have an award, you have to execute the award. And then there's always like a stump in there, like, okay, now we have an issue with executing the award. How do we execute it? There's problems with this, problems with that. With the smart contract, you can automate it and say, once an award has been rendered, then its execution will follow. It's literally saying, if A happens, then B happens. That's what a smart contract does. And if we implement this in a legal system, it would just facilitate and expedite so many procedures that we're always stuck on because of X or Y problem. But if we use smart contracts to just automate it, if A happens, then B happens, a lot of the issues that come along with bureaucracy and procedural issues will be simplified. I'm not saying that you can do this with high stakes cases, because they have more, more weeds and more things to take into consideration. But like a simple case, a simple divorce case, like if I don't know, if you divorce your spouse, 50% goes to the wife, but if she did this and that, then 30% goes to the kids, 20%. It's a simple math of if this happened, then that happens.
Right. Is that good for law practices, or is that kind of like a threat for law practice? Is it going to eliminate, or I mean, I can see how it's going to simplify, how it's going to create efficiencies. But for an attorney that is kind of looking at this going, wait a second, are they going to eliminate my family practice? How does that work? How do you see that in the future?
So there is a misconception and a very natural fear that we're going to be replaced by a automated system. But surely the one thing that can never be replaced by either AI or automated system or smart contract is our capacity to analyze a situation. The human analysis cannot be replaced by anything. The way we just see things, the way we consider, make our own conclusions based on past experiences, you can definitely do this with an automated system and have a system read past experiences, past cases, and then draw a conclusion. But there's no way an AI can create an analysis like a human being could do. So that part, and honestly, that's why people pay so much money for an attorney, because we solve problems by analyzing the situation and then crafting a solution to it. Some of the solutions may look like they're the typical solution from 20 cases that went by, but we reach out to that conclusion by analyzing the factors within that unique case that's presented to us in that given day and time. And that can never be replaced.
Nice. But there will be efficiencies created. I see that. I mean,
think about it this way. If we have an automated system, now attorneys have more time to draft a probably clearer answer to the question and the issue presented, or probably less time to bill to the client. Like before it took me 10 hours, now it took me, say, 6 hours. And although that means less money for the attorney to bill, it means that now I can take 2 cases rather than
more
one.
clients.
That took me more clients. It always translates into more efficiency is more money.
And the faster your case moves forward, the happier your client's going to be too. So
exactly. And the courts are always congested with so many cases. It will help the court, have a smoother flow of resolving cases, because a lot of that little setbacks that could be automated will just run on their own.
Yeah. Awesome. Let me ask you, have you dove into the legalities regarding Web3 and real estate? What are your thoughts on that?
So with real estate, it's really interesting because we have what we call a metaverse. A metaverse is a virtual reality world. Think about it as if the metaverse was a planet that lives within the internet. So the internet is the equivalent of the universe. And within the universe, we have planets. So within the internet, we have metaverse. Every metaverse is a different planet. We have Decentraland, that is a planet. We have Wendyverse from Wendy's, the burger. They have their own metaverse. So that's another planet. We have what's the other one? I said the Sandbox, Decentraland, Wendyverse. Well, there's a bunch, but Decentraland and Sandbox are 2 of the main ones. And you could say that these are 2 different worlds. One is Venus, the other one is Mars. And they all have different features, different traffic of people, different commerce, different types of commerce happening within their metaverses. What's happening with real estate is that those metaverses, some of them are replicated in real life buildings or houses or mansions or galleries or shopping malls. So say you have a famous gallery in real life. Let's call it the Versace Mansion in South Beach in Miami. You can replicate the Versace Mansion on the metaverse and charge people for entering into the Versace mansion in the metaverse, and then host a conference in the Versace mansion in the metaverse and charge for the entrance. You can host a concert. You can have Snoop Dogg play some songs in your Versace mansion on the metaverse, and you're monetizing within the metaverse. Now, of course, you need to first buy the land, build your little Versace mansion, the replica of the Versace mansion. Probably want to check out with whomever is the owner of Versace mansion. Listen, this is what I'm doing. I don't know if your rights are reached so far as to the metaverse, which is another subject that I would like to touch on in a little bit. But always check with the owner of the real estate in real life if they have some objections as to whether you can build a replica of whatever they have in real life in the metaverse. Because once you do that, you can charge for entry fee, you can host a concert, you can host a gallery exhibition, you can just have people come in and walk into your house, into your mansion, your gallery, your shopping mall. And as far as I know right now, what people are doing is that they're selling real estate, like an actual house, as an NFT. What this does is that you sell a house, like a traditional.
But the house is in the metaverse, or
No,
is it in real life?
This house is in the real life. So you're selling your normal house, like we all know it. In this sale of this house, a real estate house, actual house where you walk in, is an NFT. So how does this work? You're selling a real life house as an NFT. What you now have purchased is the real estate on the real life, and you have also purchased the NFT version of that house, meaning there is a virtual reality version of your house in the metaverse. Now, why would someone want to do this? One, your title is registered on the blockchain, meaning that if someone else wants to replicate your house in the metaverse, there is a very strong argument that you've been put on notice that someone else owns this house in the metaverse because it's registered in the blockchain. Not just in the property registry in real life, but it's also, you also have a title in the blockchain that is registered and stamped on a specific day, on a specific time. This house was purchased as an NFT, and it lives in the blockchain, and it lives in the real life, and it belongs to so-and-so. So if your house is a very unique house, say your house is the Versace mansion, and you sell Versace mansion as an NFT, it's a big deal that you have it registered on the blockchain and that you have your name in the blockchain as being the owner of this NFT. You don't even have to build the house already on the metaverse, but your title is registered in the blockchain. And whenever someone tries to build a replica of it, they'll be on notice, or there's a presumption that you should be on notice because it's in the blockchain now. How do you find it in the blockchain is a different story. But the point is, you have both registrations, one in the blockchain and the other one on the property, government property office, property registry.
I have a question.
Sure.
Yeah, chime on in.
So
Solange.
if, yes,
Solange,
Solange,
introduce yourself if you want to, really quick.
Sure. My name is Solange Saria. I am an artist. I'm from Miami. I do visual art, performance art, music, songwriting. I do hair. I do a bunch of stuff. And I've been in Anima Collective for a long time, even when it was Las Comadres, so many years now. And if a house exists in the metaverse, do people exist in the metaverse? Like,
yeah.
So through AI in the metaverse, can people be like possessed?
You mean owned?
Owned, yeah.
Owned.
No, you cannot be owned. However, curiously enough, there have been sexual harassment cases of avatars, which is what you call yourself when you're a person on virtual reality, where one avatar has touched the other avatar inappropriately, and there's been sexual harassment cases filed.
Okay, so
kind of like a sense of how real it could get.
So how would I know if I was being sexually harassed through the metaverse?
Well, you sometimes you can reach out to the owners of the metaverse where you suffered from this harassment or this inappropriate touching, and they'll probably have a recording or some backup image of when the incident happened, and then you can have them ask them if they're okay with releasing that little footage of when the moment happened, and that most likely they'll be able to help you, because no one who's running a metaverse or anything on Web3 will be an advocate of bad actors. If you put a claim and it's a clear bad action that just happened, they don't want other users to continue that trade of bad actors. So they want to exclude that person that sexually harassed you on their metaverse, and they'll ban them from it. They'll deny their access, and they'll put a red flag on them so that anyone who interacts knows that this incident happened on this day with this person that goes by this I don't know, acronym, whatever they want to call themselves, little Nikki, whatever, you know.
Are there support groups of victims that have been harassed? Like, is there a way to find
Well,
that support?
I'm not aware of any specific support group, but I do know that on Twitter Spaces, there is a lot of mental support for people who are in Web3. And the reason being is because once you're within Web3 and you're navigating the space, there is a lot of mental, how can I put it? There's a lot of mental pressure in the sense of the stress of, do I have enough followers to run my project? Do I have enough community reach for my art to be famous enough so that people can buy it? Or just like going into the little like dark side of not understanding and feeling you're always behind, feeling that you're always missing on a project, feeling that your project is not good enough. You see so many brilliant minds building and selling and just having this amazing wealth, and you're always feeling behind because it moves so fast. So that creates mental anguish, creates stress, creates anxiety. And there's a lot of groups I know in Twitter Spaces that provide support for mental health.
Okay. Do you know where do you have any resources of where I can, like, of those spaces on Twitter, or I'm really interested in the harassment stuff, the avatar harassment.
Okay.
I don't spend time on Web3 at all. Like, I spend my time completely in the 3D world. So I'm just learning about this, but I have my suspicions, and I'd like to learn more about, someone who's like me, that's like completely ignorant to that world. I know that there are all these web worlds and dark web and all this stuff that I don't spend time in. And I'm wondering, like, how can I investigate that further?
Well,
Yeah, sure.
Solange, at the end, I'm going to put a QR code that connects to Nicole's LinkedIn. So you can communicate with her directly, and she can provide you some Twitter spaces.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
Awesome. Thank you for your
jumping in.
question. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, that's a really good question, especially because a lot of people don't think that your avatar is a real person, and there's someone behind the screen. It's a real person.
Well, it's like, so do I exist as an avatar in the metaverse?
Yes, you definitely do.
And so I'm like basically I'm like asleep in the metaverse because I'm not in control of myself.
What do you mean?
Like,
No,
if
you're
I'm
not. You have to log into the metaverse. You have to I've never been in the metaverse, so I can't attest to doing this myself, but it is a login. It's kind of like a game.
Right. So if I haven't logged in to activate myself, then
You're not there. You're not there.
I'm not
then.
there. I don't exist.
You don't exist.
You have to actually create your avatar.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So
think of it like a
doesn't
game.
exist.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Awesome. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank
Someone's
you.
driving.
Yeah, I'm on my.
Oops, I unmuted you. Sorry. Sorry, Solange, I muted you. You can unmute yourself if needed.
Yeah, that's okay. No, that's all the questions that I had. I get to learn more. So I'm very excited. Thank you for this talk. It's like really illuminating.
Yeah,
Awesome.
our
I'm glad.
pleasure.
Mute me
Okay,
again.
so I think we have about 10 minutes.
Oh, we've
right?
got 10 more minutes. Yeah, I didn't even realize that. Here, 13 more minutes. So, anybody else would like to chime in for questions and answers? Let me put up the slide. And if Laureta or Anthony, if you want to come up, unmute yourself, introduce yourself if you'd like as well. And if you have any questions, please do let us know. Anybody?
So just
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Hi, Anthony.
there.
Hi, Shirley. Hello, everybody. Just want to say great presentation, actually. It's really
Thank
informative.
you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, it was great. Thank you, Nicolle. And Laureta, do you want to say anything? Want to come up?
Yeah, hi, thank you so much. My name is Laretha and I'm a lawyer. I'm a dual licensed lawyer, so I'm licensed in Nigeria and in Canada, in Ontario here. And I'm working towards being licensed in Alberta as well. So my question generally is, I don't really have a lot of experience in the Web3 space. I just know like a bit of like the general terms like DAOs and Web3 and the rest of them. I did trade a little bit of cryptocurrency, but I didn't go in with full knowledge, so I stopped a little bit to learn. So basically, my question is, if you want to maybe carve a niche for yourself in the Web3 space, how would you probably go about it? What would you look out for? What kind of laws are you really looking out for in the sense of that? Like, is there like maybe a community or something to help you navigate that space? For someone like me that wants to maybe specialize in Web3, like Nicolle mentioned, that there are lots of possibilities out there, and I mean I want to like have my niche out there as well.
Sure. So great question. And one of the reasons, and I love that you make this question, because on my daily job as a crypto attorney, I face myself with clients who don't fully understand Web3. And I end up becoming some sort of mentor and teaching them about Web3, about their businesses, what expectations are realistic, what others are not. And for this, I have part of my law practice has a Web3 training program where I am a mentor for 3 months, and I guide you through all the little minutia of Web3, things that you need to know based on a specific goal that we both craft together. Either your goal is to understand Web3, and from that understanding, then you have a very clear image of, oh, I can do this business that I'm currently running and put it in parallel with Web3 and create a side income that would produce me probably 5 or even 10 times the income that is producing me on real life, but that you didn't see before because you just didn't have the information provided to you. And there's a lot of information online, but we were just talking with Solange that it becomes very overwhelming because there's so much information and you don't know who to believe. You don't know what sources are accurate. You don't fully understand what people are saying because the language is foreign. So what this training program does, it allows you to understand on simple plain English or Spanish, if you're a Spanish speaker. It helps you understand what Web3 is, what possibilities you can have with Web3, how to run and execute a business that you've probably been thinking of, but you never got to execute because of the fear of not knowing how to do it. And the fact that I always see the ugly side of Web3 allows me to tell you what things you should be avoiding, what mistakes are commonly amongst people that are building a business similar to the business that you want to build, and how to avoid being unnecessarily liable for the procedures that you may or may not have in place, depending on what your goal and expectations are with Web3. So I found a need to have a short program, 3-month program, that allows you just that. It allows you to 5x your income in Web3 without the fear of falling into the Web3 traps, without the fear of spending that money and then losing it because of a mistake that you made, or without the fear of being tricked or falling into a trap or just plainly scammed by someone who told you they could help you, but they just ghosted you and you already paid the money. So one way is, I think the simplest way is to do that, to go through a program that allows you to do that. The other option is just go into Twitter, follow specific individuals that I currently follow that have helped me keep myself updated onto what's going on the Web3. Also, I know Shirley is putting together a bunch of presentations like the one that you're seeing today that are very informative. They're curated content, and the speakers that she chooses are cherry picked. They're not just someone who's going to waste your time. So keep in touch with Shirley, keep in touch with myself. I always publish a lot of content on LinkedIn, but particularly Shirley, I know she's doing a lot of this type of informative spaces that you could be, you learn at a how do you say, a slower pace, but you know that the information provided is accurate and it's already
Yes.
curated.
I'll tell you, Laureta, because that's a really great question. One of the things that I do when someone's brand new and is kind of lost, but by the way, everybody's lost. Okay, you're not the
That
only
is true.
one. I
That
am
is true.
still lost. Okay, and I've been in this space for close to 2 years. Now, what I like to do, what I like to say to people in any profession is take your profession, Google that plus Web3. Okay. See what comes up. So if it's realtor, if it's attorney, if it's financial advisor, whatever it is, accountant, artist, whatever it may be, Google that with Web3. See what comes up. Okay. Whatever comes up, just kind of, say, look for things that are going to be pertaining to what you're already working on. So if you are, I don't know what kind of attorney you are, Laureta, but if you are a business law attorney, or maybe you are a family law attorney, I don't know, or maybe you are in finance, what is your niche within the law, right? And Google that. Then
I have
see
a question.
what comes up. Yeah, Solange.
So I saw that Instagram is changing some of its policies, and I've created a ton of content, images, stories, videos, so much content, like absurd amount for the past like 10 years, and it's all in archives. But they just came up with a new policy that like they're gonna start deleting archived content after 30 days. And so now I'm like, oh my God, I want to download and collect everything that I've ever created, because that's something that I can reproduce as art on Web3. And like now I feel the urgency of that. So can you speak to that at all?
I have not heard about that at all.
I just saw it on Instagram. It updated me.
I've known very little about it, but to that end, there's nothing that you can do other than what you just said, download the content and store it in your own personal drive, because the reason they announced it is to give people that space and that time for them to download their content. If they would have done it without notice, then they would have been in big trouble.
Okay, great. I'm so excited because I've created so much.
Well, I guess you can put it on, could you put it on TikTok? If you animate it, put some music on the background, you could put in there.
Yeah, I can do that. Oh, you're right. Yeah, download it, upload it through TikTok.
Yeah, just turn it into an interactive video, put some music, and you should be able to upload it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even
that's
on
another strategy.
Twitter should be a great resource.
Well, what I'm thinking now is like,
Yes.
I don't want to I don't know that I want to put all my contacts out there on platforms and make it free where somebody else can record it or screenshot it or do whatever they want with it and then reproduce it. I'm thinking like, why not just make it something that is like private and directly has to be collected or bought, you know what I mean?
You could also make a teaser of them and then have people get engaged on what you're putting in there. And then with this teaser, you catch the eye of the audience, of the traffic of the people. And then if they want to purchase, then there's an option to purchase.
A t-shirt of the content created. Okay.
Yeah, I was going to suggest that too.
Very cool.
Thanks, Solange. I also wanted to just continue to Laureta's question about how did she find out more information. So Nicolle has a great program that is just tailored to you, which would be like the fast track, right? To get diving into Web3, because it really is a funnel of information that's just going to go right over your head and you're going to go, what? Because Web3, it's not just NFTs. It's not just crypto. It's not just blockchain. It's not just augmented reality. It's not just the metaverse. It's a ton of things that we haven't even talked about today. And so we can go on in every corner of every industry and talk about Web3. So really what you want to do is first get into the communities that are related to what you want to learn about in Web3. Twitter is a great place to start seeing certain communities. Instagram, not so much. I would say Twitter is probably the best social
YouTube
media
is also a
platform
good
right now.
source.
YouTube is great. YouTube is awesome,
Perfect.
fantastic. And then Laureta, check out what this video itself is going to be on YouTube at the Anima Collective YouTube. So check out
Perfect.
our previous webinars as well. You can follow the Metadime. We're going to be putting out information as well on our YouTube, talking about how businesses are using Web3. So it's really, and there's a ton of organizations. So in Miami, I don't know where you're located, Laureta, but in Miami, there's Web3 Equity, which is an educational organization. And every single meeting, every single time we have an event, there's breakout sessions and different topics about Web3. So you're learning Web3 is going to be a long process, but if you want,
Cool.
very curated information to yourself, personalized information to yourself, yeah, Nicolle has a fantastic program. So we're at the end of our webinar, but Nicolle, do you want to say any last, or anybody have any last questions?
So I have shared on the chat my YouTube handle so that you guys can check it out. There's a lot of good information, videos. And another way of learning is, for me, when I'm doing something that is very mechanical work-wise, I just put a podcast and listen to it. It's a very good way of learning as you do anything, like anything that is mechanical. Say you're doing laundry or you're brooming, or you just like maybe deleting trash emails, put a podcast and listen to it.
There's a ton of Web3 related podcasts.
Sorry, I'm on a
So that's, I would say Twitter and podcasts are like our
The main
key.
I'm on a call at the same time.
Sorry, I had to mute Solange. All right. Thank you so much, Nicolle. This was fantastic. I
love
put
being
on
here.
on the shared screen Nicolle's LinkedIn. If you scan that, it'll take you straight to her LinkedIn. If you scan the bottom QR code, that will take you to my link tree where you can connect with me directly as well. And we hope you guys stay in touch. And yeah, let's continue the conversation on LinkedIn or in the Anima Collective. If you guys are members, we can always continue the conversation there as well. All right. Thank you
for
so
having
much.
me.
Thank you, Nicolle, for your time and your knowledge and your expertise. Thank you.
Of course,
really appreciated.
anytime. Stay in touch.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.